Shall we begin? What you yeah, let's do this thing.
I'll do the intro.
Okay. What?
Sorry.
I thought you were going to fart or something.
I tried to do the thing of interrupting him as he's starting it. As you keep usually doing. He's going to kill me now.
I'm a professional
Professional what?
wanker.
There's another name for that, is there not?
Hello,
What do you mean like this?
Shut up. You're a professional fucking wanker.
Okay, I won't do it again.
Hello, Internet. I'm Fireball.
I've got to do that silly voice, haven't I? But I feel daft in front of Simon doing that. And I'm the orbiter who are.
You don't
Whatever
feel
voice you want, mate.
daft just like putting it out in public.
Hello, Julie.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well. Got to close the blinds.
Ooh. It's like you get peeping Toms in. Is it Bolton?
I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah. Introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry?
Introduce.
Who are
yourself.
you?
Oh, sorry. I'm not with it at all. I'm Simon. I'm back again.
Yes, you are. What was the last one we had you on?
I don't know, but it was in January.
Was it?
I just go off dates now.
I know you were on Children originally, but
Was it
then
Quality, I
was
think,
it-
or something?
Oh, were you on
I
Equality?
can't remember.
So,
I don't know.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. What's happened since our last episode?
What's that, about a fortnight ago?
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe the figures that have come out today, do you?
Well, they always say the figures that are coming out on a Monday are weaker because of the weekend.
Yeah, you guys have got a bank holiday down in England, haven't you? Have you?
No, it's Friday. They moved it.
All right, okay.
It's been moved for V-Day.
Alright.
It's kind of time stamping this now, isn't it? But
Okay.
Yeah. One at least notable bit of news that seems a bit different from the usual sort of coronavirus stuff is well, first of all, Kim Jong-un might be dead.
He's not. He's come back. He's appeared.
Are we sure though?
Well,
it came from the state TV, so believe it as what you want to believe. It's come from the state TV that he's gone to this.
I don't know. Weirdly,
celebration.
There's this publication called I think TMZ that seems to break all the celebrity deaths, and they broke this story first, and it's almost as if like they're killing them at this point.
That because shortly after he appeared again, there were shots exchanged over the border with South Korea.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing that I was going to mention. In the DMZ, demilitarized zone, South Korea and North Korea were firing shots. But, I mean, amongst all the usual apocalyptic stuff, that was just like a thing scrolling at the bottom in the news for me.
Yeah, with everything that's going on in the world. Just a little tiny bit rolling across Sky News at the bottom.
It's just like, oh, World War III might happen, you know.
Yeah.
Just to spice things up.
Yeah, they'll be getting all sorts of shit under the radar at the moment, won't they?
Just noticed.
What
We're
you
all
got?
on Budweiser.
Oh, I thought you had a bottle of water. I was being polite and not asking because I didn't want you accusing of wearing your wife's knickers. So
No, I've just got a sock on it.
Okay.
Kennedy Space Center.
Nice. It's just come out of the fridge. It's freezing.
Mm.
Is it now?
Are you working early tomorrow?
It's the one day I don't have to be until just after 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's early.
Yeah. So, but I'll still be up at 5:30.
Yeah.
It's pointless for one day. Got used to it now.
I'm not entirely sure of the timeline of things because time's just sort of morphed into one continuous Sunday.
It's just a big entity now.
Yeah.
What day is it?
It's I think it's Monday.
Is it Monday? Yeah.
It is Monday. Yes, 4th.
Oh, it's Star Wars Day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you celebrating?
No, just having that behind me.
Yeah.
No, not celebrating anything. I've just been busy.
I see Rise of Skywalker's out on Disney Plus today.
Yeah, but I think I've seen it. Already seen it 5 times. So.
Oh, well, it's beaten me. I think it was 3 for me, but
recording on weird holidays once again. Last time it was 4:20. Now
yeah, have you heard of that? I don't know anything about it. I think this is kids thing, not kids, but teens. Youth culture.
I would have thought you would know about this more than me because I thought it was a weed thing.
Yeah, but I haven't dabbled like that for fucking decades. Really,
I thought it was quite an old thing. There's I think it was some old club.
420 apparently means something to do with
or the 90s.
Something to do with weed.
Well, apparently it's the ideal time of the afternoon to smoke weed.
I've never heard this.
And there was this club that used to meet on 420 at the time of 420 to smoke weed, basically.
Okay.
And for some reason, this has made it into pop culture, and now it's a meme.
Everything's a meme these days, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Well, that's how it's get one meme.
So, do you think we're going to get a second wave?
If you want my personal opinion, I think this is a second wave.
You think this is
personally?
All right.
Because there is something that's come out today that some parts of France have had the test retested or re-examined from December.
Yeah.
Have they started lifting lockdown things?
Italy have. France, I'm not too sure. I think they're still in lockdown. No, Italy have started doing the same stuff that we're doing in the UK at the moment. We can exercise.
I think it's going to be a slight divergence from Scotland and England's approach going forward. But I'm not sure that that's not necessarily appropriate, because I know we've had in the local press this week, we've had a warning that there's been a spike in cases in Grampian. So obviously we're a fair bit behind down south. So I don't know what it's been like around Manchester area.
Well, we've had, according to the local news, we've had 0 new cases in the hospital admittance in the last 2 days.
Right.
In a local hospital, and we've only had 2 deaths.
See, I think we had 120 new cases.
I think we had 714 cases in Bolton, and I think we've had 50 deaths in total.
Right.
Which, on the scale of things, is not a lot. But Bolton is a relatively big town. It's one of the biggest in the UK. So
once you're out of Aberdeen, generally in the countryside, you can go for miles before finding another house. So it's pretty difficult to spread outside of Aberdeen, I guess. But Grampian, I think, does Grampian include Aberdeen?
Yeah, it's just a general area. So it's northeast. I mean, technically the Grampians are mountains, but we're kind of on the edge of that. So it's
because we're kind of on the edge of the Pennines.
Yeah,
right.
We're like yourself, so it's what it is.
It's a weird one. What else is going on anyway?
I think last time there was still protests from American idiots wanting
We're getting
haircuts.
them here now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Was it London? Was it in London?
We've had a protest in Aberdeen.
They did all the families. They were hugging each other outside somewhere.
Were they?
Yeah, in a defiance of the lockdown.
Yeah, we've had end the lockdown protest.
Started hugging random people just hugging each other outside of a
in
building
London,
or something.
You must be kidding me. They hardly talk to each other there.
Well, that's if you believe Twitter, that's what's going on at the moment. So
I've just actually removed Twitter and Facebook from the home screen on my phone because I can't deal with it anymore. I'm probably going to go on Twitter more just because it's kind of
there's interesting people on Twitter as long as you follow the right people.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a bit of drama, I guess, but like since you don't know anyone there,
it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier
Yeah.
on Facebook to fall out with people you know.
yeah.
There's no awkward like consequences in real life there.
Which reminds me,
Let's have a quick look.
what's his face? Our first ever guest has been donating to end the lockdown projects and
Really?
basically calling everybody paranoid.
I knew he was a bit of a tip, but I didn't think he was an idiot.
That was the longest episode we've ever done.
That was long.
The very first one. I don't think I've come back to that yet.
No,
Got a lot catching
it
up
was
to
the
do.
first one we had a guest on.
Bollocks report, was it?
I can't remember. No, it was.
I think I started listening at around 17 or 18. I think.
Right.
I remember.
I can't remember what episode it was, but it lasted 3 hours. It was Ben.
Oh, Mr. I don't care. My life is the only thing that revolves around. Nothing else that matters except for me.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I remember having
now it makes sense about the 3 hours.
Yeah, I remember having a very lengthy argument about like capitalism versus communism, essentially, and trying to explain. I mean, it's sort of like this is sort of a strange thing where like the worst examples of communism is where that has failed, but a lot of the worst examples of capitalism is where it's working as it really should be, like at maximum efficiency, and it's causing a lot of suffering.
Yeah,
in my eyes. And this crisis is sort of bringing that out quite a lot, where a lot of people seem to care way more about the line of the stock markets than actual human lives.
Yeah, there's not much of a. Well, you see the real people now. You see what people are actually like at this time, and it's actually not a nice place to be with some people when you see the real people coming out.
Yeah. I mean, I can appreciate the sort of effects of the economy, like on working people, like not being able to go to work, and where the government are having to basically pay people their normal paycheck. A lot of people, at least, that aren't key workers.
See, I can't get.
Here are some results from a search.
What the fuck? Why?
Just random.
Yeah, but I don't have that active on my phone. Why did that happen?
They're always listening.
Yeah, definitely.
I've lost my train of thought now. Who was that? Was that Alexa or
Probably Google.
Google? Yeah. When I went shopping last week, it's just a pain in the arse because like maybe 95% of people are being sensible, but then there's just idiots that are just like looking at you as though you're just really gullible as they sort of reach across to get stuff and they're walking up aisles the wrong way, and it's like every time they come, they just go for what they want, and you've got to move out of the way if you don't want to be near them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, talk about that when you're on about the aisles going up the wrong way. The nearest one that begins with A, I won't name them because I used to work for them and I can't stand them.
Yeah.
But we went in there and you follow the aisles and you've got to go up and down the same aisle.
Assholes.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Because there's an odd or an even number of aisles, so you can't snake. So when you get to the end one,
that's the
you've
worst
got to go
thing.
back down the end one.
Yeah.
It's just confusing.
Yeah. I think Just as long as people are sensible, it's just kind of...
Yeah. Well, I saw the figures that they were putting in. They were letting 113 people in
right
at a time.
It's a bizarre
supermarket I was.
Where, like, you're sort of having to rely on loads of people listening to scientific advice and actually understanding it to any degree.
Yeah.
Which, I'm like an amateur biologist. I understand it probably better than most people, but like, I'm quite open about not knowing fucking anything about like viruses. Like, I'm going off the best information that I have, and it's just sort of being able to discern that in a scientific way, I think, from just...
Oh, in the end, it's science that's going to sort this out. It's not any religion, any faith, even though a lot of people do think of that, but it's going to be science at the end of the day.
I've actually been quite surprised that a lot of faiths have stopped like gathering, because I thought that was going to be like a big issue of contention where they'd want to still like be going to church.
Did they stop in America though?
It's different from state to state there, so it's kind of difficult to get like an overall picture. Some states, I'd imagine, are reasonable. Some are probably batshit crazy, like Florida.
To be honest, I don't think the Floridians are actually the worst in this situation at the moment, from what I'm seeing that's coming out there. The Jordans, the ones from Georgia, are a little bit worse than Florida at the moment.
Generally, the South is
crazy.
Kind of a bit of a mess, if I'm honest.
Where, sorry?
The South.
Yeah, the whole South. But yeah, the batshit crazy ones at the moment, I'm thinking the people out of Georgia are just worse than Florida at the moment. A lot of the Floridians do understand that these things need to be in place, and when they need to get a grip. Obviously, they've got to get the economy up and going again, because the biggest thing in Florida is tourism.
Yeah,
and that's the biggest driver of that state. But when you've got the big two like Disney and Universal closed, you're talking 40 to 50,000 people out of work.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they're rushing for it. But there's some like Georgia are trying to get everything open straight away, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I did see there's a big boat parade near Mar-a-Lago, Trump's like Floridian residence, that he seems to spend more time in than the White House.
He's fucked off on holiday now, hasn't he? He's gone to Camp David.
I don't know. I try not to...
I think he's taking Boris Johnson's paternity, isn't it?
There is this really bizarre sort of press worship that I've noticed around Boris Johnson, where anyone trying to criticise the government, like, suddenly it's like you punched a baby in the face or something. Everyone turns on you. I mean, even Piers Morgan, who is a unilateral cunt, has managed to see some sense and gone, yeah, the government's not doing the best job at this.
I've seen this is what I gave up on Facebook over it, really, was that I've just seen so many people complaining about the press asking all of these really awkward questions about testing and stuff like that, especially and naming specific reporters like Laura Kunsberg and Robert Peston and people like that, actually naming them and saying that they should be, getting behind the government and all this lot. And it's just like, I get what they mean. Positivity is important, but at the same time, you need to have the government held to account even more than usual at a time like this, surely.
Yeah, I mean, It's not even so much their response. I mean, like Boris Johnson's personal response to it in like press conferences, saying like, well, something along the lines of taking it on the chin and shaking hands with coronavirus patients, to which he seemingly almost died of fucking irony. But like, it's just how ill prepared and how well warned they were by advisors that if you keep cutting the NHS, if you leave certain programs, particularly ones in the EU, if you keep slashing these various things and avoid actually preparing for something like this, bad things are going to happen when something like this comes up.
Did you say it was Italy that started lifting restrictions this week?
Yes, they've because they've been on strict lockdown where you can't leave your house full stop. Not even to exercise. Everything has to be indoor, and now they're allowing adults.
I mean, looking
exercise.
at the spread and the kind of extent of it and the way it's kind of gone, we seem to be a similar kind of case to them. But when it all started flaring up for them, we were about 3 weeks behind them, weren't we?
It's
so if we start easing restrictions now, we're kind of experimenting again. You know, we're not. It's not like we're waiting to see what happens in Italy first.
Yeah, but we didn't seem to. Yes, we might have had the same amount of deaths as what Italy have had, or actually even more now. I think nearly, but we haven't had the spike like Italy did, where the area was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was that northern territory that got overwhelmed.
Lombardy,
became the same as New York. New York.
Did I not see that?
New York got overwhelmed.
They're numbers are starting to increase there again as well today. I think.
New York?
No, Lombardy, northern Italy, which is a worry.
But it's the area where it came from. It's a very, very close knit community, and they've got very, very narrow streets. And literally, everyone's on top of each other.
Yeah.
That's why I think the biggest break in the UK was in London.
Yeah.
And it's slowly spread out because it's where, if you're on top of each other, you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
And that's why you guys up there have not had that much of a hit because of the spreadness that you've got up there.
I mean, I imagine by like Edinburgh and Glasgow, there'd be a lot worse. But like, we're in a pretty small village in near the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Not quite there.
It can be found on a map.
It's about an hour's drive away.
Anyway, what are we talking about today? There's not a lot of news, really. I mean, I did see somebody talking about... I know the footballers, the Premier League, the players are very hesitant to get going again behind closed doors. But I heard a point that somebody made that I thought was interesting. That they said that really sports should be regarded almost as frontline services because of the effect that they have on the mental health of the population.
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends who are massive football fans.
I mean, obviously, there's
not just football fans, rugby fans as well, and they are. Yeah. They're actually. I've actually seen one guy break down.
Yeah,
because he can't watch any sport.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the worry that they don't want crowds of fans congregating outside stadiums, but at the same time, you think the footballers should really, with the pay that they're on, be prepared to go out and play. You know, if it's their health they're worried about. But
if they can be, I want to be footballers spend a lot of time with the same players.
Yeah.
If all the footballers go into a quarantine themselves with their team for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then all the teams do that. They can get everything done behind closed doors.
Yeah,
in my eyes. But obviously, you have the staff as well that needs to be on. And you're talking maybe 250 people per game need to be there for just to make it work.
It does feel pretty eerie. I have seen like WWE having like wrestling matches with no crowds. Like it's just bizarre and like empty, and they're trying to sort of
G up the crowd with
But it's been surprising how quickly it's become. I mean, I remember the first time seeing like the Russell Howard hour thing from his living room, sort of thing, for his bedroom or whatever. And the other guy, John Oliver, is it this week tonight? He does
last week tonight.
It's how weird it was the first time seeing it without the audience reactions and stuff. But then it's just very quickly become normal.
See, I preferred last week tonight's like version of it. I think like Russell Howard's one's done more like a sort of like he'll do video chats with various people, but like John Oliver still sort of keeps the same style, I guess.
Yeah.
from his white void that is his home.
So what are we talking about today then?
The subject of today's episode, whether or not we stick on it, is corruption. I believe this is episode 58.
Is it?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I believe it. No. Oh. It's
So
straight away, I would say corruption. There's a lot of it going about,
yeah.
and
well,
I know you can say there isn't, there is, but there's definitely a lot of corruption going about. But what?
There's a lot of grey area as well, isn't there, as to what some people think of as corruption.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all that thing about the difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion.
Yeah.
And whether or not evasion's the one that's actually legally a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Avoidance, a lot of people, especially accountants, see it as a legitimate way of reducing business costs.
I mean, I'd imagine tax avoidance ends up losing taxpayers a lot more money, and feels generally more scummy, to be honest.
But where is the line into beyond which it's classed as tax avoidance? Because if you put your savings into like an ISA bank account, technically you're avoiding paying tax on those savings, but nobody would really see it as tax avoidance.
It's to the point where, like, the average person wouldn't have access to those kinds of, like, tricks where you could, like, move to the Cayman Islands or something ridiculous to pay their real tax.
So, like, a situation where somebody like myself, who does, like, music work, technically as a freelancer, but if you set it up as a company and then pay yourself a monthly salary, and you're kind of then in control of how much tax you have to pay as a result, how is that classed?
I mean, I don't know, I guess.
I mean, I haven't moved to
but like
the Caymans or anything, but
is that a certain point where, like, you know, the billionaires that I guess stand to make the most money from doing these sort of tactics, as opposed to what, like, a small business owner might do, you know, they can afford to lose that a lot more. Like, we're on benefits for a reason. We have quite a low income regardless of how much you set the company to pay you.
yeah. There's also, I mean, do you think corruption has to be intentional?
I don't know. I don't think so, because quite a lot of people are quite open about, like, having donors that are honestly kind of a conflict of interest in my eyes.
But I mean, there's a lot of sort of, especially within government departments, there's a lot of shit that goes on through incompetence rather than deliberate.
Yeah,
corruption.
I mean, it's sort of disappeared because Republicans are just stubborn and basically only care if people will vote them in again. The whole Russia hoax, not Russia hoax. Fuck, it's a weird thing where, like, Trump's just fucking invaded my mind with weird lexicon.
He's really got it in for China at the moment.
Russia collusion, which
No. China.
which probably happened. I mean, there's a lot of smoke. There was the Mueller report, which kind of...
Yeah, what happened with that?
I mean, it exposed it, but, like, the guy himself basically said, okay, here's all the evidence. I'm not sure what you can actually do with this, because I'm not sure what, like, the
Evidence is an
rules...
American drama series.
What the fuck?
Just turn your fucking phone off.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, basically, Robert Mueller, who actually produced the report, said, I'm not sure we can actually try a president for this stuff. We might have to wait until after. It's kind of up to Congress, and Congress said no.
They can't charge the president with anything until he's actually not president anymore. If I understand that right.
Was he actually impeached in the end?
He was impeached, but the Senate did not vote to remove him. He was impeached over a different scandal, also related to Russia, because he's just surrounded by scandals.
Well, I mean, Clinton was impeached and stayed in office for a little while, didn't he? Did he resign in the end?
I don't know.
No, I don't think Clinton. I think
because impeachment doesn't mean that you've got to leave, does it?
No,
it just makes it very difficult to.
The Senate can vote to remove you, but it has to be like a supermajority. I think like 2/3. And I think the Republicans control the Senate, so that was never going to happen.
It's like fucking Star Wars, isn't it?
But yeah, basically, the thing that Trump was actually impeached over, not the whole, like, winning the election slightly dodgily by using Russian influence, was basically seemingly to try and blackmail the Ukrainian government into digging up dirt on Joe Biden, or Joe Biden's son, by, like, being quite tight with, like, foreign aid and stuff, and, like, military aid, in the case that Russia would invade again, like they did in 2014 in Crimea.
I wonder if all this shit that's going on at the moment is the sort of thing that could actually challenge the USA's kind of dominance of world politics. If they get enough damage from it, which they seem to be taking quite a big hit. I mean, he's come out today basically saying that he's happy for the presidential election to be taken as a referendum on his abilities to deal with the coronavirus crisis.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite risky.
See, with the American election, I feel quite conflicted. Because on the one hand, Trump's a fucking lunatic and deranged. On the other hand,
so
his opponent's a fucking lunatic and slightly deranged too.
Who is his opponent?
Joe Biden.
Oh, is he still in it? Because somebody pulled out, hadn't he?
Bernie Sanders pulled out because, I mean, it's sort of this coronavirus kind of accelerated that from the looks of things, where Bernie Sanders was quite openly saying these primaries should not go ahead, we should postpone them because it's not safe to go out and vote, or there should be like by post voting. But they seem to still go ahead, and he's dropped out and endorsed Joe Biden, although I'm not really sure how sincere that is. But yeah, basically, he is a Democrat technically, but I feel like in terms of what his actual policies are, he would fit in like old school Republicans, like moderate Republicans, like classic conservative, what you'd expect there, like maybe George H.R. Bush.
Is that the older one?
H.R.?
There was a W.
H.W. Bush.
No, I think there was a George W. Bush.
George W. Bush, but then his dad.
Oh, yeah, George. George Bush Sr.
Yeah.
The first
H.W. Why am I remembering HR? I think I might be remembering human resources.
HR?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Budweiser.
And also sleep deprivation. By the way, I don't think this was in the recording. I haven't slept for over 30 hours. So if I seem a bit all over the place, or I'm pausing a lot, I don't really
I
know.
thought your nose was turning grey then, but it's a shadow over the microphone.
Are you okay?
Not usually, no.
Okay.
Do you think Jar Jar Binks would make a better president?
No.
No, because he's the one who caused it all. If you look into some theories,
Yeah, I was trying to remember what that was about.
because he's the one who handed the power to the emperor, or voted to say give power to the emperor, and then that's where it all started. But
Yeah, I'm mad they didn't actually like explore the plot of Jar Jar fucking Binks being a Sith Lord, because
that was just
that would go down well.
Darth Binks. We haven't got around to watching Mandalorian yet because I've been waiting till it came to till all the episodes were up in the UK Disney Plus, because we like to sort of binge. Yeah, Theo's not interested though, but I haven't seen any of it, so I can't speak from experience. I've just heard that it's really good.
See, I don't know.
It's like the Star Wars you remember,
Right,
but better. That makes sense.
Do you mean original trilogy?
Yeah, but better.
Right.
It's not actually Boba Fett, is it, or Jango Fett? Is
No, it's just a Mandalorian.
But different people have different ideas of what they sort of see as classic sort of Star Wars. I mean, obviously for me, it was the original trilogy, but there's people of a different age group that would see episodes 1, 2, and 3 as their classic Star Wars.
I was the prime age for 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
When they came out.
I mean, I was
17.
2 when episode 3 came out. So.
Yeah, but I was brought up on 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
When I was 5. Very similar to Nick.
See, that was
and I've got the actual.
Although I wasn't like really madly into 1, 2, and 3, that was the point at which I started to get really excited. Was when Revenge of the Sith towards the end, when it started to look, you could see it changing back to that old.
Well, that's the one I can grab, so I'll show you that. Empire Strikes Back.
Is that VHS?
The original videotape, the widescreen version.
Oh, do you have anything to play that in?
Yeah, I've got a video player.
All right.
On me. Actually, just sort of down there. But yeah, my mum bought me them when I was 5, when they all came out. The widescreen versions.
It's such a bizarre thing. Like, my laptop doesn't even have a CD drive in it anymore.
Is that even a special edition then?
Yeah, that's the. It's not the original, but it's the widescreen, so you actually get to see.
But is it one of the special editions, or is it the original?
No, it's just the regular ones that came out. What year was it?
Because we've got the. I think we've got the despecialized editions. Just on a drive somewhere, because I was hoping that Disney were going to come out with that, the original theatrical releases.
Yeah, the widescreen ones. I think they released them in '95.
Right.
See, the funniest thing with that is in A New Hope, one of the stormtroopers hitting their head on a door frame.
Yeah. And they still left it in after all the remakes.
Yeah,
after all the touches up, they left it in.
Oh, I thought that was only in like the original version.
No, it's in every version. Even one of the ones on Disney Plus, you can still see it's slightly shorter because you just see him bang his head and then flip his head back.
Yeah.
When this, you do see him bang his head, but they cut it dead quick, so you can still see him bang his head a little bit.
That's it.
But yeah,
Star Wars nerds coming out.
With Joe Biden, I mean, it's sort of honestly what you would expect with a typical politician that's just sort of shitty like a normal politician, but not batshit crazy like Donald Trump is. Where he's supported what I consider to be very immoral wars that went very badly. And still stands by those.
He actually sounds senile when you hear him standing up speaking.
Well, that's another thing that people... I mean, both of them do, to be honest. But like, that's another thing people are worried about. Like, he doesn't seem to have as much of a grasp on reality as like he could. Some have theorized that he might have...
Sorry?
As much as... Whatever.
Did you say turds?
What?
Did you say turds?
No.
My ears are
he-
drunk.
Yeah, some people have thought that he might have dementia, but that's not exactly proven.
He's just.
Do you think he actually believes what he's saying a lot of the time? Or is he just doing it
Donald
for
Trump or
the
Joe
laugh?
Biden?
I think he's just making shit up most of the time.
Which one?
Because there's some of the stuff he does come out with is blatantly stupid.
Which
Yeah.
We
one?
know that. But is he doing it on purpose?
Trump. Oh, I'm talking about Biden.
Oh, Biden. Well, yeah, sorry.
I don't
I thought
know
about
too much
Trump.
of him.
Yeah. Also, quite a big thing is sexual assault allegations, which
Yeah,
both of them
absolutely.
have accusers for, because you know
Yeah.
what better role models than two fucking rapists?
I don't understand how do you grab someone by the pussy? It's like I don't understand how you would do that.
With less morals than you hopefully have.
No, I'm just trying to sort of physically. There's nothing to really grab hold of unless you like a bowling ball kind of malarkey going on. But
Yeah, well, basically, someone, Tara Reid, accused him. I mean, there is some evidence that, like, her mother was on, I think, the Larry King show back near when it happened, talking about vaguely troubles that their daughter had at a prominent senator's office. But it's really disappointing to see basically a lot of the people that were involved in the Me Too movement and the idea of like believing women come forward about sexual assault, basically dismissing anything that she's saying in the same way that Republicans would if accusations were made against their candidates. And yeah, I would hope at least like they would be consistent and say, oh, he should at least cooperate with some sort of investigation. Do you mind? We're talking about sexual fucking assault now.
I know, but I'm sorry, I'm just having difficulty concentrating.
Okay.
Sorry, carry on.
Also, I mean, regardless if those allegations are true, and I believe them, if I'm honest, he also, there was a Supreme Court judge, Clarence Thomas, I believe, who was also accused of sexual assault in the early 90s, and he really grilled their accuser, even though it was like of the opposite party, in just a really nasty way that honestly I can't abide. But I mean, it's sort of a weird thing where it's sort of like, okay, he's definitely can't be worse than Trump. I mean, just barely, but still.
It's not much of a choice, really, is it? When you've got you've got them two people to choose from. The Americans must think, well, who's the worst?
I mean, you can vote third party, but in America, that very rarely gets you anywhere.
So, what do? Do you go for the new guy who's got all this baggage at the moment, or do you stick with the better devil you know?
Yeah. I mean,
how the hell did they get to be the country that they are on the world stage? I mean, they must have had a better situation going on in the past.
Slavery. I mean, it's a large reason why they managed to build up wealth quite early on in their country's existence.
But now they would say that China are guilty of not slavery exactly, but certainly paying ridiculously low amounts and having poor working conditions and stuff.
I mean, that's fair. It's just sort of, you can aspire to be better than the working conditions of fucking China. An authoritarian one-party state.
Yeah, but it makes it sound like when your own success is built on slavery, it just sounds like you're kind of just complaining because you can't get away with it anymore because your society's kind of eradicated it.
I mean, the effects are still there. Particularly, I did see some quite shocking statistics about the likelihood of basically getting these can't remember what they're called now. Small businesses getting basically payments to survive through this pandemic, and
well, I've just been trying today, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's not
I mean, this is
through.
in America.
Yeah.
Black business owners, Hispanic business owners, Pacific Islanders are finding it a lot harder to get these loans than white people would.
And is that just down to general attitudes?
They said that with the unemployment payments. I've noticed more of that because obviously, I do a bit of the Florida stuff, but a lot of the Floridians who are the black majority, which is a lot of black people in Florida, they're struggling to get the unemployment payments, but the white people are.
So where is the kind of problem? Is it in the people's attitudes that are actually in positions that are supposed to?
It's the people in power, isn't it? It's the people. It's the managers, the people who actually do the.
I mean, there's the sort of, like the biases of the actual person making that decision, and then there's sort of historical statistic injustices that, on average, black and Hispanic business owners would be poorer, and
but like with a lot of these things, like the problem that the statistics here that a lot of more black and Asian ethnic minority groups are finding, they're dying more than white people in the coronavirus situation. But there's so many overlapping issues there, in that, is there a general lower level of health because of the situation, because they're in more poverty kind of situations? I mean, I notice it was said that part of it might be because there's a higher proportion of black and Asian ethnic minorities that are diabetic. But is that something genetic as part of their, is it anything to do with the fact that they're black, or is it because they're in more poverty that they are tending to be more diabetic?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's kind of hard to know where to start with really complex issues that take into account decades of statistics where a lot of the evidence just it's missing, really. A lot of the data there is missing. But
there's a lot of shit going on at the moment that people are getting away with because of the sort of smoke screen of the virus, especially with things like immigration.
I mean, that is one thing, particularly, again, to do with race, is it's just bizarre, particularly looking at America, but I guess it could kind of apply to here, but certainly more America, where they're having these sort of protests saying, oh, I need a haircut, that sort of thing, whereas normally a lot of black protesters would be basically saying, don't fucking shoot us, we deserve to live. And the sort of contrast here, and a lot of these protesters, particularly in the southern states, you were openly carrying firearms. It's like, what black person could get away with that and not be shot on sight? And loads of people would support it as well. It's just a bizarre country in my eyes.
Yeah, well, it's like saying I don't know. It's the corruption side of. There's corruption in everything. Yeah. I think at the moment, everything to do with this virus, everything to do with normal businesses, everything is always. I think it's corruption everywhere.
Well, that's the thing.
Bringing it back to what we were on about, and I think the biggest driver of corruption is greed.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to a podcast you've done before, it's greed. I think drives the most. They want that power. They want that.
Have you ever seen the film Wall Street?
No, I've not watched. I've still not watched it yet.
I think it was 80s. It was Michael Douglas, but there's a speech in that he gives when he's like at the height of his ascendancy, if you like, in the financial markets. And he's talking to all of the big kind of Wall Street guys, and he's basically saying that greed is good. And I think that film, especially when it came out, was the epitome of everything that was going on during that sort of late 80s period when, you know, Thatcherism had taken hold and Reagan was kind of, capitalism was really taking off, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was seen as a good thing to have lots of money and to be chasing more money, and it didn't matter how ruthless you had to be to get it, you know.
It's just all bollocks.
People buying up companies and then just...
The Tories still haven't, to my knowledge, published that report on Russian interference in the last election.
No. What the fuck happened with that? See, all this stuff's getting buried.
I mean, understandable in a crisis like this, but like they should have been releasing it in January before the crisis.
They should have been releasing it before the fucking election.
Yeah, I mean... They have this whole thing of, oh no, we have to appoint this committee to do it so that we can redact it properly. It's like, what? And
having Donald Cummings on the SAGE committee as well.
Donald Cummings,
what's his name? Dominic Cummings. Dominic Duck.
Donald on the brain.
One of the funniest things I have seen from all of this is when the news came that Boris Johnson got coronavirus, Dominic Cummings running down the street frantically.
That was funny.
He's such a weird man. I don't know where they find these people.
All politicians are weird at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's because I'm kind of sucked in, but it's just the SNP up here. I don't know. I just kind of trust their mannerisms and the way that they say things and that. I mean, Nicola Sturgeon and what's the other guy that
Ian Blackford?
Yeah, they just seem to just speak normal people language. Yeah, you know, they're not kind of.
I've noticed especially with all these is it the daily briefings? Yeah. They answer a question.
Yeah.
With an answer that's not an answer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well.
They don't seem to be able to answer a simple question, and I've noticed that a lot more in the last 6 weeks than the last 6 years.
Yeah,
they seem to answer a question but don't answer it, and they try their best not to answer it.
Politicians generally do this, but it's sort of like in a global pandemic where everyone kind of needs your guidance and your leadership. Answering clearly to questions on things that could make the difference between life and death is very important.
Have you noticed there's like a formulaic technique to deflecting a question as well, in that every single question seems to start with like a whole minute or two of, well, I'm really glad you asked that because it's a really important question and it's something that we're all really, you know, and just coming up, like just bullshitting for about 2 minutes, so that by the time they actually get onto the part where they should be answering the question, you've forgotten what the question was.
Well, that's what I think when you're going back to what you said earlier about people mourning about the reporters asking these questions.
Yeah.
They're asking the same questions over and over again because they're not getting an answer.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the reason why it's just so repetitive, and people are getting bored of it. So people are switching off. So when something important comes along, people won't be watching.
But then I had heard, I can't remember, it was one of Ryan's podcasts, him saying about Keir Starmer, about PMQs being fucking nightmare for them.
I listened to that this morning, actually.
It's because he's a trained ex-barrister, isn't he? So
I don't know. I don't know anything about him that much, but the interviews I've seen on the news, he looks a bit smarmy to me.
Yeah,
there's just something about him that I don't like. I don't know what it is.
I mean, he seems okay, I guess. He just doesn't.
He seems the best. He seems the best at the moment in Labour. There's not really anyone else you can really find him there, is there?
It's just.
Because I know Miliband's back is around and about again, isn't he?
Is he? Which one?
Yeah, he sent a letter through to Rico back about this Saturday thing that we're doing at work.
Right.
To try and back us, to try and stop all this.
Did you just fart?
But we don't deliver any mail and just do parcels on a weekend.
I mean, I don't know. I know he lost the election quite badly, but I just felt way more interested in what Corbyn had to say, and sort of felt like he was just a genuinely nice person, even if he wasn't good at actually being a politician in winning votes.
That's the thing, though. What you get your shot in politics now, and if you don't succeed, you're gone. And you're not.
Yeah.
You don't really get a second chance these days, do you?
It just seems like such a bizarre, backwards world where someone who just was basically a pacifist and just wanted people to have rights, as far as I can see it, got slated more than a literal war criminal who won loads of seats and still hasn't faced any consequences for the decisions they made.
Is that Mr. Blur by any chance? Yeah.
I mean, they keep going on about, he won the most seats for Labour. It's like, well, yeah, but he's also a cunt.
Yeah, they have weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, okay.
There's such a thing as morality in politics. I mean, it might be lost on Tories, but I'd like to maintain it. Just briefly, there's a short video by Jay Foreman. There's a whole series called Politics Unboringed. One of them is on why politicians don't answer questions. And sort of breaks down that actual sort of method of deflecting them, where there are actually people that are trained to train politicians up to deflect questions.
Yeah,
it kind of makes sense, because if you actually say anything, then that can be used against you.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the idea. So if you don't mind, I mean, it is pretty short. It's under 4 minutes. I am gonna play this video just shortly. Hopefully you can hear the audio, and hopefully some of the.
Can I nip and get a beer?
Okay, fine.
Do you need any more?
Yeah, I'm out.
You're out?
Yeah. So how's life in quarantine?
It's not too bad, mate. Because nothing's really changed for me.
All right.
Because I'm still at work 5 days a week.
Yeah.
The only thing that's stopping me now is my darts. I usually play darts on a Monday and Thursday, and every month on a Sunday, just stop playing darts with people. Playing online now instead.
So you have not left the house for well over a month, so it's quite.
Not even for a walk. No. Not even for...
I've been in the garden, but no, not really. I don't like people. I don't like going outside anyway.
Oh,
so
fucking hell.
It's nice to have an excuse.
I just twatted myself in the eye with an
It's very surprising. If you do just put your headphones in and just go for a little walk, maybe for
Yeah.
a mile, just round the block or something, just to might make you feel a little bit better. It's surprising because I do 10 miles a day, so seeing different people. I know you might not be a people person, but just seeing someone else, other people's faces, it might just.
I mean, we have been doing like video chats and quizzes occasionally, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, there might be some kind of liftage of something coming up.
Yeah, but like I think it's
going to be like small coffee shops and stuff like that, and maybe a few restaurants and restaurants.
Again, it might not be the same up here, but
I mean, I would be on study leave right now if exams were going on in Scotland, but they've been cancelled. So, I mean, I have officially left school, I think. I'm not entirely sure of the specifics, but like they kind of expect us to do work, but like I'm officially leaving.
Your school phoned me earlier on today.
Did they?
Yeah.
When I had my last exam? My last exam was the 8th of May, I think.
All right.
In 1999. That was my last exam.
Yeah, your maths teacher apparently was saying that you hadn't done some of the work that he'd set for next year. I was like, he's not coming back.
Yeah.
So,
like, one of my friends, who's I guess in the same maths class as me, or would be if I was staying on next year, like contacted me saying they're wondering where you are, if you'd seen it. And I was like, I'm not really sure if there's any point because I'm not coming back. Like I'm doing something else, so. I mean, I guess it's something to do, but like I have mental breakdowns to manage, and I think that keeps me busy enough.
Yeah, but sometimes you kind of maybe need a distraction from that.
Yeah, whatever. I've got enough of that, I think. Anyway, I'm going to play this video. Hopefully you can hear the audio a bit so you get the gist of it, but there are some visual gags in it.
Excellent.
Oh, hey, an advert. What the fuck?
I don't normally have sound on when I don't have headphones in, so I'll have to turn that up.
One of the things politicians are always accused of is not answering questions.
Did you threaten to overrule him?
I did not overrule Derek.
Did you threaten to overrule him?
I took advice on what I could or could not do.
Did you threaten
and
to
I
overrule him,
acted
Mr. Howard?
scrupulously in accordance with
This kind of thing is really annoying, and it makes politicians look untrustworthy and slimy. So why do they do it? Politicians all suffer from chronic job insecurity. If they say anything stupid, they could be unemployed within hours or days. That's why, if they're being interviewed on TV, on the radio, in a newspaper, or in the street, one of the dangerousest things they could do is answer a question. Let me show you what could go wrong if you give a straight answer in an interview. The answer is £5,136.45. The interviewer might know more than you do. Yes, but according to this piece of paper, the figures are actually closer to £10,746,986.92. Your words can later be used against you. Yes, but in a previous interview, you said a different figure, which was £4,988,702.11. You risk alienating voters. So, do you mean by that answer you just gave that you want to cut lots of jobs? Well no, I mean... You mean you're in favour of waste? That's why politicians are scared to commit to anything. Being rumbled will make them look hypocritical, or worse, incompetent. So if you're a politician, how do you get through an interview without putting your foot in it?
Hi, I'm Peter Botting, and I actually exist. Do you want to survive the next election? Are you positively petrified of being powerfully pummeled in a partisan political probing? I can make you bulletproof. 1. Don't like a question? Change it to a different question.
Well, I think what we should be asking is...
2.
They do that a lot.
Use vague yet committal vocabulary.
Look, let me be clear, interviewer's name. Robust plan.
3. Imply that the interviewer is too stupid to understand the real answer.
Well, that's a really complicated question. We don't have all day, so let me try and explain it simply.
4. Change the subject and talk about something dreadful your opponents have done.
Let me just change the subject and talk about something dreadful our opponents have done.
And finally, 5. Give an answer that's so confusing, nobody knows if you've said anything at all.
Well, I'm glad you've raised that question, interviewer's name, so let me be clear. This is an issue that we're very concerned about, and it's about time that we stopped dithering, got round the negotiating table, got it sorted, got this right, stopped getting it wrong, and made sure that this issue doesn't get raised again, at least not during the course of our government, without asking permission first.
Look, it's important we have a robust response.
And here's the thing.
The argument, James, I'm putting is this. That's not kind of the issue. The issue is if we sort of stand back and look at the big picture.
So stop making sense and save your skin. Call today!
It's a real pity that this man and several more like him exist, but the reason that he and his clients are so successful is because these tricks keep them out of trouble. Demonstrably. Just look at this graph. We have to face the fact that in a media increasingly driven by sound bites, where everything you say lasts forever, politicians are never going to give straight answers. Their job security matters more than their job being done effectively. So, what's the solution? There isn't one. It's naive to assume that we're owed a solution to this awful, worsening, inherently unsolvable problem.
It's depressing.
That's it. Bye.
So we're fucked then, basically.
Yeah.
That actually does make a lot of sense, though. It's...
I mean, that
is actually what our world is now.
That was from 2015, before
Do you know
before everything went absolutely tits up, and it was just kind of a bit shit.
But you know what I'm really worried about is that during all of what's been going on, it seems to me that I'm beginning to think more and more that the countries that I used to think had bad civil rights are the ones that are kind of getting it more right. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it is a weird thing in this coronavirus where basically the societies that are able to effectively monitor their citizens' every move,
but also
are quite effective at tracing where they're going.
But also, according to that video, if you live in a society where a politician isn't at threat of losing their job if they answer a question, then they're more likely to answer the question.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? That the fifth point, isn't it? If they answer the question and it's not correct, they're going to lose the job, and that's them looking out for themselves rather than anyone else. And if you're looking after yourself, is that not corruption? You're not corrupting everyone else around you, so you are in charge.
I don't know. A lot of it, when you sort of delve into like the internal politics, I mean, I don't really... Like, I'm a member of Scottish Greens. I think it was Craig that convinced me to do that. Because they're basically the only completely non-shit party.
Craig, you've corrupted my son.
Well, that's the way. Is influencing someone corruption?
Depends what you're influencing them to do, I suppose.
I guess. I mean, it depends.
Because I know the legal term is it's got to be for gain. Is it not financial gain or something like that? I think that's the legal one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there must be a lot of grey areas with that, because it's like, you know, coercion to do specific things. You've got to follow the trail of consequences. And why are you smirking at me when I say that?
I missed something.
Coercion to do certain things for financial gain.
Well, that's a yeah.
I mean, it does raise some interesting questions, I guess, about sex work. I mean, see, with that,
if you look, what is it? I've just randomly put corruption into my laptop, and it comes up with the Cambridge Dictionary definition. It just says illegal, bad, or dishonest behaviour, especially by people in position of power, is corruption.
Well, I mean,
Whether this is a proper site, I don't know. It's just my confusion.
I've more recently reached this sort of political position where my ideal world is sort of anarcho-socialist, in all honesty. I know that that's not really politically achievable, probably in my lifetime, but definitely not within the next 10 years or next election.
But this is a confusing issue for me because, like, when I started thinking about the word corruption, the first thing that came to my mind, being a geek, was corruption in terms of data, like corrupted data. And when you apply it to that situation, you're talking about basically something that's been wrongly
changed that can't be unchanged.
Well, yeah, it's been kind of badly altered so that it doesn't work the way it was intended to originally.
That feels like a depressing metaphor for our democracy.
But is that necessarily what happens in a capitalist democracy? Because it's like capitalism's intention is to...
that's a weird thing. Like
when it's, like you said, when it's working properly is when people suffer the most.
The Washington Post slogan is "Democracy dies in darkness." But I've seen like several opinion articles from them saying like too much democracy in the Middle East is going to like lead to extremists and elitists should have more say in presidential primaries, that sort of thing. They've had to reword that lots to make it sound palatable. And that's sort of... I mean, it's one of the big newspapers in America. And it feels like more sort of the, I guess, liberal variety, but in sort of the way... in the modern way in which it doesn't play along with Trump's bullshit, but like it plays along with all the regular bullshit.
So really, that must mean then that corruption is as dependent as its definition on the environment, because whereas prostitution could be seen as corruption if you're in a church,
I guess
if you're in a lap dancing club and you go in Bible bashing, then you're corrupting the intention of that lap dancing club. Then
I guess.
So, do you know what I mean? It's corruption has to have like a baseline to corrupt against.
Hot take, corruption is just bad vibes.
Have you ever played Bad Vibes?
Yes. For context, vibes is another term for vibraphone.
You're so condescending. A condescending
most people don't know what a vibraphone is.
Craig will need this because he won't know what it means.
I didn't know what a vibraphone was before I started playing percussion.
Did you?
It's a weird instrument.
They're cool.
It's not as common as like xylophones and stuff.
It's like I tell you what it is. It's like I don't know, what the fuck is it like? It's like tubular bells have had sex with a xylophone and then plugged in.
It's sort of like a soft metal xylophone. It's sort of kind of instrument.
What am I thinking of?
And it's got
it is the one you plug in, isn't
like
it?
pipes that have discs on top of them that spin. They're electrically powered, and that sort of it makes it sort of resonate. But you can mute it so that it doesn't like, because if you keep playing it and it keeps resonating, that sort of builds up, and harmonics go a bit weird. So you kind of want to quieten that down sometimes.
What's that instrument that they play in Ghostbusters?
I don't know.
That goes,
oh, the theremin.
Mm.
That's a really tricky instrument to play, apparently.
Yeah, you've got to have a really steady hand for that, haven't you? And
I keep seeing an advert on TV with somebody playing one of them. Is it BBC? There's a BBC thing.
But like you set like the sort of range that you've got by like a little knob on it, and you've got
You've got to have a really steady hand to set the range with your knob.
Okay. And you sort of got like this invisible line in the air for pitch, and one hand's doing like volume.
Didn't Jean-Michel Jarre have something similar to that? He used to play a laser harp.
but like it's different to normal instruments, like most instruments where you would like be sort of more energetic to make it louder, where you just put your hand higher on one of the like bars to make it louder. It's a bizarre instrument. It's kind of anti-intuitive.
That veered off somewhere. Where were we?
I like the theremin.
The Ons Martin
fun
way of getting
instrument.
jealous.
It's a fun, interesting sound.
All together now.
Well, we've been on about corruption. Do you not think anti-corruption is just as bad?
What do you mean?
It's just a random question. It's where people are actively protesting the corruption, but causing corruption at the same time.
I mean,
we're going to go on to Extinction Rebellion here.
It's sort of... Sorry, I really need a piss.
Oh, it's the other way around. It's usually you.
Continue the podcast while I empty my...
Bladder. No, I think it's quite funny, though, that usually it's him that's keeping me on subject, but now it's you that's keeping both of us on subject. But... well, yeah, but would you call that corruption?
I don't know. I've just put it in. I've just put in corruption on the search bar. It's called anti-corruption. It comprises of activities that oppose and inhibit corruption. But
I can see
if
how
you're trying to take power of someone else to stop them doing something, is that not corruption? I don't know.
I suppose that would be the next step, because the first step I would think was disruption. But yeah, I mean... I suppose, I brought up Extinction Rebellion then, but that was thinking more about the disruption thing. They don't actually seek
they're just doing disruption, weren't they? They weren't actually gaining from it. They weren't gaining financially from it, were they? So, no. I think that's the basis of corruption, where you gain financially. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, it's got to be about power, hasn't it? Which
I just saw something before. It said corruption is greed, power, and wealth.
Yeah,
kind of all intertwined.
Yes, in our society, they're kind of linked, aren't they?
Interpol. Interpol corruption.
While he's out of the room, not that it matters whether he is it or not, but I'm really enjoying listening to a load of podcasts at the moment because I'm doing so much driving.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, I've just started, I've only just subscribed to, I need to find somewhere that's got a list of all the After Dark stuff, because I've only just gotten to Half the World Away now. And that's been a while, isn't it?
I don't know. Well, Half the World Away, I think they've only done 2.
Yeah.
Or maybe just 1. They've not done that many.
I can't get into any of the sports.
If you go, I know you don't use Twitter anymore, but if you go to Twitter, Craig...
I'll delve into it.
Yeah, he put all the... It's about 2-3 weeks ago, on the After Dark tweet, he put all the podcasts, Twitter handles.
Okay.
And if you go on each one, you can obviously link in to get the podcast for each one then.
Yeah, because I'm having to go back because I'm running out of new content.
I'm overwhelmed at the moment. I've just got so many coming through. I don't listen to just After Dark. I listen to other stuff as well.
All right. See, I did start to, but I found that I was having trouble keeping up with the After Dark stuff, and I thought I'm best just keeping up with one group of, because it's different from. I occasionally delve into like the coronavirus newscast, the BBC one that it was Brexit cast and all that. But I just find after a while I'm like, this is just the news in a different format, really.
Yeah, it just sort of gets kind of.
Sometimes you just want to hear your mates talking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just need to
tell you what, Theo, you're a pain. I need a pee now.
Okay. Now we can talk about you the way we talked about Theo just now.
What? I was not privy to this.
No, you were in the privy.
I'll be back in 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Farewell. What?
I was just saying to him while you were away that it's quite funny because normally it's you that's trying to keep me on subject, but
Yeah, I did hear that.
today it's him that's trying to keep us on subject.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Have you been talking about anything related to the topic, or have you just been generally?
Yeah, no.
chatting?
He did try and keep. He was talking about anti-corruption,
Right.
which I'll leave him to tell you about because I didn't really understand.
I.e., you weren't really paying attention.
Are you suggesting that I don't listen?
Am I? When you were putting a fucking cock
you should have
model on
listened.
your nose whilst I was talking about a sexual assault
You should listen to my last Better Call Paul. I did.
Should I?
I did. It was the night that we did our first family quiz online.
Was
And
it?
if you remember, that was the night that you puked and I ended up drinking 6 of the Stellas because you only had like 2.5. I had 5.5.
Oh, yeah.
And I decided about 3 in the morning I was going to do a little drunk ASMR session.
Oh, you bastard.
It wasn't intentional. It was just I didn't want to wake anyone up, so I was whispering.
Okay. Pervert.
No,
glad I missed that.
there's nothing perverted about ASMR. No, I don't know. I was just saying, this fucking hell. This conversation's like tripling itself because every time somebody goes off for a piss, I'm repeating it to the other people that are there. I was telling him about anti-corruption, which you can. But have you?
Because he wasn't listening.
I was just telling him about my middle of the night drunk ASMR session on my last podcast.
Oh,
Don't know
yes.
if you've got to
was,
listen yet.
I thought if he would listen to that, he's going to cringe.
I feel like I'm obligated to listen
Did
to that now.
you did get a little personal
Did I?
to the microphone.
No,
How drunk were you?
Well, like I say, it was the night you puked, so I'd had 5.5 Stellas.
Okay. I hope you didn't say anything about me.
No,
2:30 in the morning.
2:30. See, yeah.
That early.
Yeah, that was. Anyway, anti-corruption. Everybody bud together.
Well, I've switched now with the cherry Pepsi Max. I can't too much. I'm going to be driving in the morning.
I'm not. So, tell us about anti-corruption, Simon.
I've lost it now.
How's your darts going, by the way? He's taking part in an online darts championship.
Ooh.
Is that your camera set up behind you, like with your dartboard? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, just put my phone on there, use a laptop to score, and put my phone on there and video call, which I did today.
He's not half bad.
With,
Is it still only one match you've lost?
What?
Is it still just the one match you've lost so far?
On a Monday night, yeah. I lost today, but I lost to the PDC World number 19,
All right.
Chris Dobie. So
okay,
lost 5-1. So I won one leg.
Fair enough.
Better than nothing.
I'm absolutely fucking shite at throwing stuff because we played.
I would not play darts with you.
No, well, I might end up taking your eye out. But we played the Taskmaster board game. Have you heard of Taskmaster?
I remember, I think there was a TV show similar to it when I was younger. But
When you were younger? All right.
It's on Dave now.
Yeah, there's
Greg Davis.
created by a guy called Alex Horn, but yeah, it's the Taskmaster is Greg Davies, and they basically get 5 comedians to perform various tasks, and Greg Davies judges their competence in that.
Okay.
But there is a board game of this in which you complete tasks also, and one of them, I think it was like the like a live task that they do because they film the task before and then they do one task at the end where they're all together like doing the task at the same time live in the studio.
Get to the point.
But yeah, we did that, and it was like people had to make a human basketball hoop, and you had to throw as much scrumpled paper into their sort of human basketball, as you could, and you made it look really easy. Like you just kept going. You're like, whoop, 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 and then Mum had to move away to like make it harder.
Yeah, because I kept hitting her in the face.
Yeah, and then I tried it and failed on my first go, and I was just like, I'm not geared for anything like that. Like, I don't know how you like
Yeah, but
hit
you have
a precise point on that dartboard where like you get like that triple 20 or anything.
It's
practice.
It's repetitive. A lot of it sounds really stupid, but it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure you stand in the exact same position.
I don't know how you coordinate playing the drum kit.
Repeat. Anyone can play darts. It's whether
I can kind of get that, like, from a musician standpoint, I guess. It's just sort of...
It's the same with...
It takes a lot of time.
Like with snooker players, they practice for hours a day, don't they?
Yeah.
It's
like you to play your instruments, you've got to practice to make it get better at it.
Fuck all practice for ages.
Dance.
I've got to do some practice before I go back to uni.
I've done more practice.
I've noticed there's a few people in the group, the music uni chat group thing, that play trumpet, and if I turn up with all my qualifications and they say, "Oh, he's got a trumpet diploma, we'll stick him on first trumpet in the orchestra," I'm just going to make a total twat of myself.
Kicked out like a fucking idiot.
I'll make a twat of myself because I just haven't played for months.
Yeah.
Anyway,
did you see that on Britain's Got Talent? That young orchestra that didn't have a conductor.
No, I didn't see that.
Britain's Got Talent. The youngest was 11, the oldest was 22.
All right,
and they had a full, I think it was 45-piece orchestra, and they had no conductor.
They're doing the social distancing live stream performances at the moment. You know, the Digital Concert Hall, Berlin Philharmonic, one of the biggest, or one of the best professional orchestras in the world. They have like a digital streaming platform where you can subscribe and watch all of their concerts sort of live from their concert hall. But they obviously haven't been able to do that recently. But they've done without an audience. They're doing socially distanced chamber orchestra-sized concerts where all the players are kind of spaced out and the brass are all up in a gallery at the back, so they're not kind of spreading germs over everyone. And
I'm gonna guess that it has to be like a lot smaller than you have like your normal orchestra being.
Well, we can have a look afterwards if you like to see, because some of the recordings will be up. So anyway, anti-corruption. I need a piss now.
Yeah, I was saying it's anti-corruption. It's
I'm gonna go.
Full. Well, here you going now?
Yeah, you can tell him because you told me. So if you tell him, and then we'll have
This is gonna be a weird podcast to edit. Not that you fucking edit them.
No, I was just saying it's like the anti-corruption. They're saying in corruption, you're forcing and trying to get things out of other people. Are they not doing the same thing to try and stop the corruption?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's sort of like corruption is specifically trying to... It's specifically malicious, I guess.
Yeah.
Or bad.
Because their propaganda for to stop the corruption could be corrupting people themselves. Does that make sense?
That's just sort of...
Or is that just me being weird?
I could see where you're coming from, but it's sort of like from like a philosophical standpoint, like morally, like the anti-corruption, even though like they're influencing maybe using some of the same methodology, whatever, they're trying to do a good thing. They're not furthering their own self-interest, they're furthering the interest of everyone.
Yeah.
Who's this?
That's what I mean.
Anti-corruption movements.
Right. Do you think there's any corruption in the After Dark network?
The what, sorry?
Do you think there's any corruption in the After Dark network?
My gay ass.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, there's no financial gain from it, is there? So
the Podfather.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of all for, I guess, shits and giggles, and
I would like
sort of self-worth.
I would like to think that. I mean, obviously, you kind of know my financial struggles and stuff over the last sort of year or two, but at some point in the next few years, I'm going to be in a more secure position. I would like to think that there'll be a time when we can do like a Halloween Horror Nights meetup again, that I can, in 2 or 3 years' time, maybe that everyone can make it to, or we should have some kind of. Because have you been to any other meetups apart from that?
I mean,
because there was one in London, wasn't there?
Yeah, I was supposed to be going to that. But it ended up being Julie's birthday, so we went to a cabin in just outside of York.
Camera's gone.
They were talking about doing a Liverpool one, weren't they?
Yeah, that one would be a lot easier for me.
Yeah,
right.
Obviously,
whether it's getting everyone up here, that's the thing, because
it's not going to happen.
Most of the network is down south.
See, that's the weird thing we've had with quite a. I mean, with I guess a relative, but like they're like a music teacher and they're quite close. Like they run a choir with their local area down south.
That's Northampton, isn't it? Or
Yeah.
Northampton area.
It's down. I mean, everything's down south from here because we're fucking.
Not the nearest I could ever get to
Yeah.
seeing you guys ever would be if I'm up at Hartlepool, but then it's still probably another 3-hour drive from there.
But like we did make plans for this year, probably actually last month, I think, during the Easter holidays, going to Haven near the border.
Yeah.
Between Scotland and England, which is sort of near the halfway point between our two locations, because Scotland's really big and there's fuck all in it.
I'm trying to.
That's right. It's one of the reasons why I took the opportunity when Paul was in Manchester. The Orbiter, should I say?
I mean, I was just going to say, because
I thought I'd take the opportunity because it's a 10-minute drive, 15-minute drive for me to get to Manchester. So,
well, and see, over time we've been talking about, I mean, you'll have heard the song that I did online with my mum's choir. We've talked about getting together and like me going down there and doing some proper recordings for them. Like once everything's all sorted out in sort of uni holidays and stuff. And I think it would be a waste if I'm driving, because it'll all be done driving. If I'm driving down there, I think it would be a waste not to take the opportunity to try and sort of meet up halfway with either yourself or Craig or anyone. Is it just you and Craig that are in that area? Not that I know you're not near Liverpool.
In the same area as well, but she's very hard to get hold of.
Yeah. But
I mean, it's quite a weird situation where like. Quite a lot of that sort of community down south. I mean, it's my nan that like runs that choir. That's sort of like that relation there. I mean, you obviously like
my mum
spent a fair amount of your teenage years there in Northampton sort of area.
Well, I lived there from about the age of about 7 until I was nearly 30.
Yeah. That late?
I didn't move up here until I was 29.
Oh, right. I thought you'd like lived in London for a fair amount of time before that.
Oh, well, on and off. It depends what you mean by lived. It was just...
Do not put corruption of champions in.
Okay.
It just popped up. Corruption of champions, an erotic fantasy game.
Oh, okay.
Is that on mobile or...
Sorry, I just
it's
ran
the internet. It's everywhere.
Speaking of erotic fantasy games, what? No. What was your question again?
No, it's quite a bizarre. I mean, it's not really a question, but it's quite a bizarre thing where, like, last time I probably saw a lot of people down there was like a decade ago. Like we used to have like Butland's holidays.
Oh yeah.
But we last
which is weird
year,
because Butland's only has like 3 branches now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And they used to be
biggest one's
everywhere.
in Minehead now, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we last year went on a tour to Prague, which I imagine you've heard about on something.
Which they were really excited
and my
about before they
sister.
went because of the Spider-Man film.
Oh, right.
Is it Far From Home? Was that the one that was filmed a lot in Prague?
Yeah, I remember
What was it?
like being
I
like,
didn't know.
Tom Holland's been here. Like, Deanna was really excited.
I don't know. Is that the one that had the guy in with all the dimensional shit going on?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. What character does he play?
Mysterio.
Mysterio. Yeah, was it?
Some slight spoilers. Not too much, though.
I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, I kept meaning to say. Yeah, I'd never been much further north than. In fact, I think Edinburgh was the furthest north I had been until I was until 2001. So yeah, I went until I was almost 30.
Yeah, and then me and my sister, little shits, popped up, and you stuck here.
Well,
So you were corrupted to stay up there?
Well, yeah, I was kind of corrupted online.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Trying to keep it on topic.
yeah. He's doing the thing.
Is Nina a bastard, technically? I know you are.
Do they not have to be male?
I don't know. I don't
Can you
actually
have
care.
female bastards?
Well, it's being born without a father, isn't it? So
Can you be a female bastard then?
oh yeah, well, must be because you don't have a gender. Until
Well, I
It
think
depends.
it's technically
It
like
depends on what
being-
you mean.
born out of wedlock.
Yeah, we were married.
that's
We were married when she was born.
Like, fun fact, my friend Sam, who's been on the channel before, is a bastard. He's also a bastard in real life, like, in colloquial terms, like, he's a fucking dick.
We should have called her the big one
Why?
because she was conceived in Blackpool.
Yeah, I don't feel like that would go down that well.
or the black hole. Yeah, that's it.
This is going downhill very quickly. Did you ever go on that? The Black Hole.
It shut before I went
Ah,
to Alton Towers.
So,
I managed to go
so
on
you
the
won't have been on
coach.
the. Oh, you did, right? Cool. That almost brought me to tears. That when I saw the bits of the track outside the entrance.
I can't remember when we went. What would
It was
have
the
been?
year of Hurricane Bertha.
Oh yeah, I'll have
So we've
to
been to
Google that.
Oakwood. We were
Would I
we
have-
used to be in the
That's
roller-
one place I've still never been yet. I've still not been to Oakwood. Is that the one in Wales?
yes.
Yeah, I've still never been to
It's
that.
we were members of the Roller Coaster Club of Great Britain, and they have a fantastic weekend every year called Mega Glow Mania. They go to Oakwood, they go to South Wales for the weekend, and they go to a place called Folly Farm where they ride like these vintage fairground rides. But they also do like after dark, pitch black exclusive ride sessions on a wooden coaster called Megaphobia.
yeah.
That's the one I want to go on.
And it's
That is rough.
It's the best wooden coaster I've ever been on.
It jerks you around though, like hell.
But they do it in the pitch black, and they call it
Yeah.
Mega Glow Mania because they all get like these glow sticks and like glowing gloves and hats and stuff. So if you're at the back of the train, all you can see is just like this weird kind of neon thing winding around in
But is
front
that
of you.
the one? Is that the one where they have to have a? Is it? You used to have a donkey or a horse to pull it if it got stuck at the bottom end.
I don't
Is
know.
that different?
I don't know. I know
No,
somebody died on the water ride.
There's a
there.
wooden roller coaster that's that long that sometimes it doesn't have enough momentum to get over the last bit, so they have
Right,
to pull
okay.
it with a. I think they use a truck now, but they used to use a horse or a donkey.
I know there
to pull
was
it
there
years
was
ago.
one at Primrose at Lightwater Valley or
No, it's actually Alton Towers.
Flamingo. There was the longest roller coaster in the UK.
Oh,
we
right.
went on it. It could be Lightwater Valley, I think. I don't know,
I can't remember.
but that lasts about 3 minutes.
Last time I went like Water Valley, I used to go on them stupid bikes. I don't know if you remember them. You used to have to pedal forwards to if you pedalled backwards, you went forwards. If you turned left with the bike, you turned right.
Oh my
I
God.
remember them, specifically remember them stupid bikes at Blackwater Mountain.
We went to Flamingo Land and Lightwater Valley in sort of the same trip, so it's kind of hard for me in my mind to differentiate which is which sometimes, because it was quite a while ago as well.
2014.
Well, that's when Hurricane Bertha was.
That was fucking ridiculous.
One of the main things I remember, I think it might have been Flamingo Land, I'm not sure. It might have been Lightwater Valley. This really high, like, sky swing, and it...
No, that was Oakwood.
Was that?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't, because
Yes, it was.
Mum was there.
No, are you talking about the round and round thing?
Yeah, that's what a fucking sky swing is.
No, sky swing is like a massive swing. It's like what we did at Oakwood.
Like the
That's a sky
chair swing thing.
Yeah, chairaplanes.
Really high up, and like it was fucking cold. Like it felt like you weren't wearing anything at all and were like being whipped through the fucking air.
But see when we did the Megalomania trip, it's like you have a choice for the weekend. You can camp in the field next to the theme park, and it's ace because you
that was creepy as hell.
Your facilities are basically the toilet block in the theme park, so you get like a back gate that you can go into once the park's all closed, and it's like 11, 12 o'clock at night, pitch black, and you're going into a deserted theme park.
Yeah,
to kind of, it's a bit like being in Scooby Doo.
That was the fucking scariest thing I think I've had since like.
But we bought
Halloween
this,
Horror Nights, which
we bought this ridiculous tent that had 2 bedrooms in it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've got one downstairs.
And we set it up, and then
which you didn't know how to set it up.
I'd set it up all right, but then Hurricane Bertha came on the last night we were there.
You didn't know how to set it up like a seasoned camper would.
What's a seasoned camper?
Like where you'd like made sure that it could survive a fucking hurricane.
How many tents can survive a fucking hurricane?
I think most other people's there did.
Anyway, I managed in the middle of the night to extract you from a collapsing tent.
I didn't wake up. I'm a really deep sleeper.
And basically had to unpack the whole tent and get it in the car in the hours in the like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when there was literally a hurricane going through.
Wow.
And it was and then drive to Alton Towers the next day. And I'd accidentally booked tickets for the wrong day, so we ended up having to go for 2 days instead.
You know what? I remember what I was talking about with Alton Towers was the ride 13 stopped like halfway up the hill, which made it worse later on, where you get to like this sort of spoilers again. Yeah, you get to this dead end and you stop, and I was like, oh, you just go backwards at this point, like.
Yeah.
I knew that it went backwards at some point. I was like, oh, it stopped. Oh, it stopped for a little bit too long. And then suddenly the floor drops from under me. I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on here? And I shit myself. Not literally. And then I fucking hate you for not telling me about it, because you and Yenna had gone to Alton Towers before.
That was so difficult keeping that secret, though, because we spent 15 minutes on that lift hill just before that.
Yeah.
Where it just got stuck, and me and Deanna were just like, so we know what's coming next.
When was the last time you went on that then?
That was 2014, wasn't it? We haven't been there since.
Yeah, it would have been.
We've been to Blackpool since then.
It'd be a year old then, I think, then, wasn't it? A couple of years old?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, Wicker Man wasn't there
now,
yet, but...
Now it's a lot more fuller, because all the trees have grown in, so it looks...
Oh, right, okay.
It's a lot more intense.
Cool.
Because all the trees have grown in.
Yeah.
It feels like you're the trees.
That was one of the strange things about going there. Like, I remember you telling me at the time, I mean, I was quite young, about... Oblivion was quite high for like the time that it was built, but like it couldn't go higher than a certain point because like there were like rules about it being like in a natural area.
Yeah, they can't go above the tree line
than 100 feet,
which is why it goes underground. I think
that's why Nemesis has been built into the rocks.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
because Nemesis is actually 75 to 80 feet tall, but because of it's built into the rocks, it's not got the height, just to keep the noise level down as well or something. Very unique theme park, Alton Towers.
Yeah,
I do
like the vibe there. I just wish
get to Camelot before it's shut.
No, I didn't actually. I got to the American Adventure. I don't know if you ever got there, it wasn't far from Alton Towers actually.
Yeah, I didn't think I've been to there.
They had like a double Cobra roll coaster called the Rocket there, which was really good. I think the only problem with that place was
the main roller coaster at Camelot was the Tower of Terror before it changed to Nightmare, which is a completely different roller coaster.
Yeah,
and they lost the rights because of Disney,
right?
Because they called it the Tower of Terror. It was literally it was a. I think. Have you ever been? You've been to Busch Gardens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember this? It's Scorpion. It's the little blue and red one.
Vaguely. I mean,
possibly.
A lot of what I remember from my day at Busch Gardens was it was so fucking hot. Like, it was unbearable.
Well, if you search YouTube, it's the Scorpion at Busch Gardens. That's its sister roller coaster.
Right.
And what it does, it does exactly the same loops, but then you go into a big tower, and that's why it was called the Tower of Terror.
Right.
That was my first ever upside down roller coaster. I think I was 7 when I went on that.
I think I'm not sure. I think mine would have been like the local one. There's a local theme park in Aberdeen.
That's not a theme park.
Well,
it's a seaside fun fair.
It's kind of a chain of theme parks actually. Cadona's.
Is it? Is it though?
Yeah, there's quite a few across Scotland. It's like a family-run thing.
Okay.
I mean, the one that we're aware of is in Aberdeen, but I did see Frankie Boyle's tour of Scotland, and he did show like basically the family behind this. And
that was one of the most painful coasters, though. They had a looping star on the roof there, and it was like you come off with whiplash.
Coaster, but like it,
which one?
Like it rattled.
One that just goes around in a big circle.
No, it was a proper kind of mini coaster, if you like, but it had that single loop in the middle.
Yeah.
So you,
yeah.
It was
really
what like showed that you were like hard as a kid when I was like in primary school, like going to the theme park and like going on that coaster showed that you were like not
the big boy.
Yeah, kind of.
I can go on a roller coaster.
Yeah, you can get fucking brain damage on those harnesses, I swear.
We'll go back to the way you said about the wooden roller coasters. Gwazi that always gave me a headache at Busch Gardens. The wooden one there.
Yeah, the wooden ones are pretty rough.
I don't tend to like wooden coasters, but Megaphobia was the exception for me.
If I know you don't like wooden ones, but if you can get on the Big Dipper, the first weekend at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, it's smooth.
All right.
At the end of the season, it's rough as anything. I did it last year. I went on the first weekend and the last weekend. So first weekend, it was really smooth.
They tightened
last
up all the wheels, didn't
it
they?
shook you to pieces.
Yeah.
Just shows how they degrade in the space of 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
See, the thing with it, like having a theme park like in Aberdeen, is like the weather half the time doesn't permit because a lot of the things being open. So like, I mean, there's not too much snow, but it's just rain fucking a lot of the time.
I remember doing a podcast or two from Blackpool Pleasure Beach last year. Was it last year?
Yeah, it was in May.
Last year.
Yeah. But I went before then. That was the second trip that year. That was when I first started out. I recorded all the roller coasters. Recorded a lot of roller coasters on my phone.
Have you seen the? I think it's a 4-part maybe documentary on Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It was from like about 20-25 years ago.
I mean, it's pretty bizarre.
There was an avalanche crash.
Yeah, we went. I can't remember. Would it have been 2017 maybe 2016? I don't know. We went there at some point, and like a fair amount of what I remember beyond like the Pleasure Beach side of things. I mean, the Pleasure Beach, like the theme park sort of side of it, was good. And I remember there was like a Star Trek experience, but
I was
beyond that, like everything was shut down.
You have to mention what you bought there, because Simon's a massive Star Trek fan.
Oh yeah, I bought Star Trek like
Don't you start.
You're right, Phil.
Next Generation gold uniform with.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
No, I think I might have gotten the pins later for like the ensign lieutenant sort of pins, like the rank pins.
I was joking. He doesn't like Star Trek.
Does he?
No, he likes Star Wars.
Well,
I've not had a chance to watch Star Trek yet.
I spent
I've
a
tried
ridiculous
watching it,
amount of
it's
money on that, or maybe you did. I can't remember what.
You spent
situation.
about £100 on that.
Yeah, it was quite a lot.
Anyway,
Still
look,
got it. It still fits me.
we haven't talked
Blackpool
about.
Pleasure Beach was actually the only theme park that's made me cry.
In a good way or a
foothouse
bad
burned
way?
down.
All right, okay.
The big fun. They used to have a big red building. It had these massive slides in it. And my mum just sent me in there and just left me in there most of the day when I was a kid.
Not the one
When
with
it
like the
burned
sort
down,
of crazy
I'd cry.
walkways and stuff like that. They had the stairs that go up and down while
Yeah.
you're trying to walk up them and that.
It was brilliant. It was one of the best places. My mum just threw me in there for like 4 or 5 hours every time
Yeah.
I went there. But then I found out it burnt down because someone set fire to somewhere in the bins in the toilets, and it burnt because all the slides were wood.
Yeah.
Burnt it all down to cinders.
Seems sort of bizarre.
Hmm.
I mean, crying about a theme park just reminds me of the time that we were on like Viking River Rapids in Legoland. I think it was the winter one. I'm not sure if there's several.
Yeah, but that wasn't wasn't upset tears. That was
No.
like I fucking hurt now tears.
Yeah, like we hit the side and like my face planted like fully into like the bar.
You nearly knocked his teeth out.
Oh, I did them. I actually lost my
And
two
for
front teeth
some
on dodgers.
reason, I insisted on getting a fucking fridge magnet where I was crying and my lip was bleeding because
You know, like the sort of
I was a weirdo.
the round rapid rafts, but there's no seat belts. It's just like a ring that you all hold
Yeah.
onto in the middle.
Yeah, and I would have been like, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe 8, young.
I do remember smashing my front two teeth on the steering wheel with dodgems when I was younger as well.
Anyway, I don't think we're going to be talking much more about corruption, are we?
No, I mean,
Well, we just corrupted all the listeners to
we
theme
don't-
parks. That's
we
what
not
just done.
talked a huge amount about corruption, to be honest. I mean, we talked a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. It's just an excuse. A title for a podcast is just an excuse to.
Yeah, I mean,
Talk shit.
it's good to have you on again. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a guest, I think.
Yeah, like I said, whenever I'm free.
To be honest with you, I would have a guest on every time, but it's a bit more of a hassle to set up. But as now we know this has worked fine, then the more you do it, the easier it gets sort of setting up. So we could even risk having Craig on sometime. They're recording what is it? After Dark at the Movies tonight, is it? Or something?
Oh yeah, it's that summer.
Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Interesting.
But,
We need to think of something weird for E for the next one for him. I was going to say Echo the Dolphin, but it's not Disney, is it?
no,
that's Sega, I believe.
I'll have to have a look through the list of Disney Plus.
See, I
Great,
know
yeah.
that for a weird reason because like I got this. I must be a knockoff like handheld device like on the plane back from my first trip to Florida.
One of these gaming things that you buy out of the catalogue on the plane.
Like it was
Yeah.
at Blaze or something. And it just had like loads of Sega games on it. I mean, it was loads of good like classic games. It's just you couldn't actually save any of them.
I've got that mini Mega Drive as well, just behind the camera. You can't see it, but got like a little gaming station all there. Got my Xbox, my PlayStation, the Mega Drive, the SNES,
That's your man cave.
PlayStation 2. Mrs. doesn't come in here a lot often, that's why.
I think it got like Golden Axe and stuff on it, which was pretty good. Like it had loads of classic games on it. But it was kind of a weird, cheap thing. I don't know. I think we still have it if you can get the batteries for it. It's got like a weird screwdriver though. I don't know. I'm sort of rambling now, aren't I?
Welcome to the world of my podcast. I just ramble on about crap all the time.
Yeah, we try and talk about serious subjects like corruption and
Do you know
progress, but like we just end up fucking bollocking on.
And they've got me on and I've
breaking
corrupted you to my way.
See, I when we first started doing this, I used to be really serious about trying to make a professional edit out of it and making it into a really kind of professional sounding podcast. But then we joined the After Dark Network, and I thought, what's the fucking point? Let's just ramble on.
Yeah, half the people on here do anyway, don't they?
Well, some of
like in a fun way, like in a entertaining way. But like, yeah, it's not like highly edited. Like it's not professional, I guess. But it's fun. It's entertaining.
You don't listen to them anyway.
I don't listen to a lot of them, I guess. I don't know. It's I mean, especially since like I'm no longer like traveling anywhere. Like the only time that I would listen to podcasts is like playing those truck simulators, American Euro truck simulators, which a lot of the time I'm too tired to play and like worried I'll crash my truck. So
are you it's a game, truck simulator.
Oh, yeah. I used to play the railway simulator, and I know what you mean.
Have you started on phase 3 or 4 or whatever it is now on your Marvel viewing?
We completed.
You finished it?
Yeah, I just watched Endgame the other day.
Cool.
2 parts.
Vaguely remember like watching Iron Man.
Are we allowed a sneak spoiler as to which one gets the 9 out of 10 and which gets the... Does any of them get a 10 out of 10?
No, none get a 10 out of 10. One gets a 9.5.
I'd be interested to know which of the whether Infinity War beats Endgame.
Well, I'm not going to give anything away, but one of the final 4 films, I think we've got to do 4 or 5. One of them made me cry 4 times.
Right.
So
I feel like Endgame.
I can hear Star Stuff putting the kettle on.
But that's a sneak peek. Yeah, one of the final films makes me cry 4 times, 5 times, 1 and 2. So, on that merit, that's where that film would get the higher vote for me. But nothing can be 10 out of 10 in my eyes. Nothing's perfect.
Nothing.
So,
well. Yeah.
Should we...
I don't know how much we've really talked about corruption, but there's sort of... I feel like we sort of talked about our general views on, like... I don't know, it's generally... it's not good, is it?
I reckon the world is fucked. It's corrupt as...
Yeah.
As I mean, but at the end of the day, there's fuck all we can do about it, so we might as well just enjoy ourselves.
Like, I planned all these... episodes like in an order before like events happen, so like I don't plan them to coincide with anything in particular. It's just sort of right now in the middle of a pandemic. I don't know, corruption sort of seems like a background issue of like why we're dealing with such fucking incompetent idiots in the first place, and while we'll probably be dealing with incompetent idiots the next time something big like this comes round.
Yeah, because they've already said that this kind of thing will happen again at some point. So, but hopefully they've learned the lessons.
I think the fact that this one came along so suddenly, it's like a bit of a microcosm of what's going to be happening with climate change over the next 50 years, but that's going to happen so gradually. I think that they're just going to sleepwalk into it.
I mean, I didn't actually know about like the whole SARS thing until this pandemic blew up. Basically,
no, but that was massive over there, and I think that was one of the things that kind of gave us a false sense of confidence. Really,
well, I was working in a supermarket that shall not be named when that SARS and the swine flu hit,
Yeah.
and the supermarkets did take a massive hit then.
All right. Okay.
With people panic buying for no reason, and then the swine flu hit as well, and people just went mental. Not as
I
bad
didn't
as they
even
have
really
done this
notice
time.
what was going. When exactly was that? How many?
2003 to 2004. So like, I wouldn't have been aware of it even if
I really had very little idea of that.
This one, we got notification.
I mean, you kind of had your
management.
hands full with 3 children.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
But we did get notification from them. We needed to wash our hands every 20 minutes. They wanted to wash our hands.
Yeah.
Even if you're on the shop floor, you had to talk to customers from a distance.
But did it even reach here much?
I think there was a few confirmed cases of swine flu. That was it. The SARS, I don't think, got over here that much.
No.
But swine flu definitely did hit our shores, but just didn't go into this massive thing. But I think that also is because of social media as well. Social media wasn't as big as it is now.
Yeah.
I think then, 2003, was MySpace.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So it wasn't the big conglomerate that it is now.
Really, it was
with
just
social media.
You really only heard about it on the news.
Yeah, that's all you could get. You could get it from the news and from newspapers.
It does raise an interesting question about like whether the sort of openness of social media is better now because like it means that there's a lot more freedom of information, or the freedom of disinformation.
I'm very down on social media.
Does more
at the moment.
damage.
I think this, like they say, like back to what we've been talking about today, corruption. You can get corrupted quite easily on social media with what propaganda is being put out there.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's swaying people to this extreme view of things now.
I mean, I try and sort of look out for that sort of thing, but I've generally been seeing sort of my politics as a whole going further and further left as just sort of the sort of centrist ideas of sort of maintaining capitalism but with good social ideas. It doesn't effectively achieve justice in my eyes, like economic justice, but like I've found my political ideas I mean, I am quite young still, but
are you?
I found my ideas generally moving, I guess, more extreme, but like,
well, fucking hell, you're not even a student yet either.
Yeah. I mean, I have taken like political compass tests, and whilst I wouldn't consider myself like advocating for anarchy because I just don't think that it's achievable in a good way.
See, the problem with that is that most people equate the word anarchy with chaos.
I equate it with freedom.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's quite.
I equate it to the purge.
But again, it's a bit of a similar kind of, because all of the sort of Hollywood response to kind of mass pandemics and stuff like that is that the general population will descend into panic and chaos. But actually, what's happened has been everybody's been fairly sensible.
I guess, but like it's kind of the supporters of the more authoritarian things that have sort of descended.
I say that, but I mean so
chaos.
far. I mean, like we've seen, there's demonstrations started already within less than 2 months. People are starting to demonstrate end the lockdown and stuff. So I mean, if this
over getting fucking haircuts, it's like Jesus Christ, first world problems, my ass.
Yeah, that is definitely first world problem. Oh, I can't get my hair cut. The world's gonna end.
I was like, okay, like, sure, like, but like, no one's gonna see you. Like, I can get like doing that for yourself, but like, if you have someone that you live with, you can get them to do it. You can learn to cut your own hair. I get that it won't be perfect, but like, it's one of the biggest crises of our time, and
not being able to get a haircut.
No, like, Whatever. Shut the fuck up.
I'm going to suggest we draw things to a close.
But like,
because I'm desperate for another piss for a start, but
and it's getting quite late.
Oh, yeah, shit. I'm up in 6 hours.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Anytime.
And do enjoy your shift tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it's Christmas in May. That's what it is at the moment.
Yeah. Any more to say?
No.
Anything to plug?
Just if you've listened to this, go and listen to my podcast if you want. The Simon Says Pod.
Indeed.
What's this on?
It's on everything.
Yeah, every platform you can find.
Is it on my arsehole?
What?
Is it on my arsehole?
Is it on? Is your arsehole a platform?
Depends who you ask. Yours certainly is. It's big enough.
Oh, how dare you!
It's a conglomerate.
So this is descending into chaos. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think the next subject, and I think this will probably have to just be us two because it is pretty personal, is depression. You know, that
cool.
fun, light-hearted topic
Yeah.
that everyone loves.
See, Craig keeps saying we should do something positive, but fuck him.
I don't know. I mean, there's sort of like how we deal with it, which I guess can have like a positive.
Let's leave all of that for next time.
Yeah.
Thank you once again for joining us. And how do we finish? How does
we do an outro?
Go on then, do your outro.
Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Pretty drunk and
that's not how it goes.
Sleep deprived and fucking out of my mind. But I'll try to do an outro.
Go on then.
Anyone have any last words?
I've already done that bit.
Will anyone have anything extra to add on?
Tatty bye.
Yeah.
Cool. Great.
Fucking end the podcast.
Fuck off, Dad. You're not bossing me. I have been Fireball.
I've been the Orbiter.
And I've been Simon.
And this has been Breaking Bollocks, episode 58, I think. I don't know. Corruption, vaguely. Oh, this is such a fucking mess of an episode, but whatever, it'll be fun.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah.
To good health.
So yeah, have a good day tomorrow, and I shall continue to listen to. Hey, you got another episode coming up soon?
On the dark Amina, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think I might.
Probably
might do something on Friday. I think.
Sure.
Oh,
you're right.
I'm supping into a sort of bleh bubble. Whatever. Shut up.
he's gonna puke again. I know it.
Not that kind of Blair model, but like the mental Blair.
You just see a mental flood of it fall over.
Fog. Right, I'm gonna go. And it takes me about 5 minutes to work out how to switch everything off. So
you might still be here for a while.
See you next time. Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Bye.
We're still on air, live audio. What's it? Bollocks.
Oh, I need a piss badly.
Well,
see that, Simon?
Stop the thing quickly before you
see that, Simon? Do you know what? Do you know what he is?
Rascal.
He's a fucking
cheeky motherfucker. You fucking dickhole. You fucking fuck. Oh, you fucking wanker. Go for a wee then. I'll talk to the camera while you're away.
I've already switched it off.
No, you haven't. It's still going. Look at that. It's recording. Fuck you, audience. Fuck you. I'm slightly drunk and very tired. and he's just generally insane. Don't piss yourself. Go.
I'm trying to turn the camera off.
No, I can talk to it.
It's not going to go on the podcast, so.
Well, we'll see. Hello, listeners. I'm kind of fucked right now. This isn't recording anything. I mean, you probably can't see. There's a mic here. There's a mic. I'm not going to pull that down because it might break the laptop. The MacBook, which is expensive, and the Orbiter does that, but I'm not allowed to do that because then, I'd be the bad guy. But, he's a professional, so he drops it. So, like his audio interface because he's a twat. But, words, points. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm kind of in a weird mood, if that makes. I mean, it's a weird time, so it makes sense to be in a weird mood. How are you, friends? Me too. Great. But the real question is, what about cheese? They gotta be up to something. I mean, the secret's there. How do you make milk into tasty?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Graty shit. How do you grate milk, motherfucker? That's magic. That's black magic. That's corruption.
What are you talking about?
Black pill, red pill, gone sexual, gone wrong. 2020, coronavirus. Motherfucker.
Something wrong with you.
There are several things wrong with me.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.